The racial storm swirling around Clark versus Reese. The rivalry between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese isn't just a battle on the court. It's become a symbol of deeper tensions in the WNBA. In a May 2025 matchup, emotions flared during an aggressive contest between the Fever and the Sky. But after the final buzzer, attention shifted from the scoreboard to the stands. Fans on social media alleged that Angel Reese was the target of racist comments and chants during the game, and many pointed fingers at the predominantly white fan base supporting Clark. Clark, for her part, never encouraged or supported that behavior, but she became the eye of the storm anyway. The WNBA conducted an investigation but found no substantial evidence of racist chants. Still, the public debate exploded. Was the league doing enough? Was Clark unintentionally becoming a media darling while players like Reese were villainized? By the way, we're just starting out on YouTube and want to be the go-to spot for WNBA facts and knowledge. So, subscribe to stay up to date and let's reach our first goal of 1,000 subscribers this month. Will you be one of the OGs? Subscribe right now. Let's move on with the video. It wasn't the first time Clark had been framed, unfairly, as the face of white privilege in the WNBA. It likely won't be the last. The situation proved one thing. Every time Clark steps on the court, the discourse isn't just about basketball, it's about identity, perception, and the evolving face of the league. That infamous walk-on before a blowout loss. Angel Reese knows how to make an entrance. But in June 2025, that entrance backfired spectacularly. Before a matchup against the Liberty, the Sky walked onto the court in dramatic fashion. Synchronized steps, sunglasses indoors, and all the energy of a championship team ready to dominate. Social media lit up. Some fans were loving the attitude, others, not so much. Unfortunately, the Sky then got demolished. The Liberty outscored them in every quarter, and Reese finished with a modest stat line. Critics didn't hold back. The walk-on was labeled cringe, performative, and tone-deaf. Commentators said the stunt made the team look unserious and that they were cosplaying as stars instead of earning it. Reese later defended the moment, saying it was about team confidence and embracing the entertainment side of the league. But for many, it became a symbol of style over substance. Whether you saw it as empowerment or ego, one thing is certain. When you bring the cameras out, you better bring the game too. Cameron Brink's emotional ejections are becoming a problem. Cameron Brink has the height, the skills, and the endorsements. But there's one stat that's drawing just as much attention: her ejections. In her rookie season with the LA Sparks, Brink has already been ejected more than once, each time for technical fouls that could have easily been avoided. The most talked about came in a game against the Aces, when Brink picked up 2 quick techs within a minute, both for mouthing off at the refs after what she believed was a missed call on A'ja Wilson. The reaction was swift. Fans accused her of lacking emotional control. Others pointed out the double standard. Had it been a male player, they argued, the behavior would have been labeled competitive fire. But the league took notice. Brink was fined for her conduct and reminded of the WNBA's zero-tolerance policy on disrespecting officials. To her credit, Brink apologized and promised to learn and grow. Still, the ejections have added a wrinkle to her budding stardom. For all the talk of Brink being the league's next big thing, critics are now wondering if her emotions might be the one thing holding her back. Paige Bueckers' NIL empire raises eyebrows. Before she even stepped foot into the WNBA, Paige Bueckers was already a millionaire. Her NIL deals during her time at UConn were historic: Gatorade, StockX, and even a solo deal with Crocs. She was the golden girl of college basketball, both on and off the court. But with that fame came a weird kind of resentment. Some players in the league felt she was being handed opportunities before proving herself at the pro level. In fact, when asked anonymously, one WNBA vet said, "She's great, but she hasn't done anything here yet." The whispers grew louder when Bueckers began her WNBA career with a modest debut, solid but not game-changing. Critics accused brands of pushing her image over other deserving stars, many of whom had paid their dues for years without the same recognition. Bueckers hasn't addressed the critics directly. Instead, she lets her calm, clinical game speak for her. But in a league that's still fighting for parity and exposure, the rise of NIL queens like Bueckers sparks a real question: how do you balance hype with hierarchy? Sue Bird's political outspokenness divides fans. Sue Bird is a legend, there's no debate about that, but her post-playing career has been just as headline-grabbing, and not always in the way fans expect. Bird has become one of the WNBA's most politically vocal figures. From endorsing political candidates to calling out anti-LGBTQ legislation and campaigning for prison reform, she's never been afraid to use her platform. But not all fans are comfortable with it. Some longtime supporters claim she's too political. Others argue she's exactly what the league needs, a voice willing to say what matters, regardless of the backlash. Things reached a boiling point when Bird openly criticized a prominent WNBA team owner for donating to anti-trans legislation. Conservative outlets called it cancel culture. Bird called it doing what's right. It's caused some friction. While Bird remains an icon to many, others see her as polarizing, but that doesn't seem to faze her. Her legacy isn't just about titles anymore. It's about standing firm when the room gets uncomfortable. And for Bird, that's the whole point. Reese versus Latasha Johnson, a feud no one expected. Drama isn't new to Angel Reese, but her fallout with former LSU teammate Latasha Johnson took fans by surprise, mostly because it spilled into public view in the pettiest way possible. After leaving LSU for the WNBA, Reese didn't hold back on social media. She liked tweets shading Johnson, unfollowed her on Instagram, and made a few too many cryptic comments in interviews. Johnson's father then jumped in, posting a video accusing Reese of chasing fame and abandoning the real ones who helped her rise. Fans picked sides instantly. LSU supporters were divided. Media outlets ran think pieces on whether NIL money and fame were tearing college teams apart. Reese eventually responded with a subtweet, "Not everyone deserves a seat at the table." Neither side apologized. The friendship that once symbolized sisterhood and black excellence in women's hoops seemed to crumble under the spotlight. It was a reminder that in today's WNBA pipeline, the drama doesn't end at the draft. Diana Taurasi's trash talk went nuclear. Diana Taurasi isn't just the WNBA's all-time leading scorer. She's also its most unfiltered voice. Throughout her career, she's combined elite-level play with a mouth that never shuts off. But in 2021, her trash talk finally crossed the line, or at least that's what many thought. During a heated playoff series against the Las Vegas Aces, cameras caught Taurasi yelling, "I'll if asterisk, asterisk, asterisk you up," at a referee after a no call. No mic picked it up officially, but lip readers and Twitter detectives had a field day. The league issued a fine. Taurasi naturally didn't apologize. That moment became peak Taurasi, beloved by some for her fiery leadership, loathed by others for towing the line between intensity and disrespect. It wasn't her first run-in either. She'd previously bumped a ref in 2009 and told media members that some refs shouldn't be allowed on the floor. But here's the thing, fans expect this from her. She's the league's unapologetic anti-hero, aging but unafraid to rattle cages. The WNBA has cracked down on unsportsmanlike conduct, but if there's one player who always tests that boundary and gets away with it, it's Taurasi. A'ja Wilson and the Jersey snub heard around the league. In 2023, A'ja Wilson was dominating on the court. She was MVP caliber, leading the Aces in both offense and defense. But when the WNBA released its official jersey sales list, she was not in the top 5. The snub didn't go unnoticed. Fans were outraged. Analysts questioned what more she needed to do. Wilson herself posted a simple LOL on Twitter, a subtle jab, but one that echoed loudly. The incident ignited a larger conversation. Was the WNBA's promotional machine prioritizing marketability over performance? Caitlin Clark, Paige Bueckers, and Sabrina Ionescu, players with large followings and commercial appeal, consistently topped lists, but Wilson, arguably the league's best player, was left behind. The Aces star has never been shy about addressing race and representation in sports. She once said, "Sometimes I feel like I have to be 3 times as good to get half the shine." The Jersey snub just confirmed what she, and many others, already believed. It wasn't a scandal in the traditional sense, but it was a moment that laid bare the disparities that still linger in women's sports, even among its best. Dearica Carrington versus Caitlin Clark, a microphone moment gone viral. In June 2024, the WNBA universe exploded, not over a buzzer beater or a trade, but because of a look and a mic'd-up moment. Dejanai Carrington, the Connecticut Sun guard known for her defense and energy, was caught visibly taunting Caitlin Clark during a game. The cameras rolled. The clip showed Carrington clapping in Clark's face, shadowing her every move and shouting, "She don't want it!" Fans online lit the match, and the firestorm took over the timeline. Clark, who didn't respond verbally, kept playing, but the viral moment sparked national commentary. Was Carrington just being competitive, or was it personal? Carrington responded with a tweet, "Y'all hate when black women talks asterisk, 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 but love when anyone else does it." That tweet sparked more debate than the clip itself. Was this about race, media bias, or simply competitive fire being policed? The league didn't discipline Carrington, and Clark didn't comment. But the clip still floats around every few weeks. The new blueprint for WNBA drama. It wasn't a fight. It wasn't even a foul. But in today's highlight culture, a good mic'd-up moment can become the league's loudest headline. Caitlin Clark's stalker scare shocks the league. It's rare for a rookie to change the security standards of an entire professional league, but Caitlin Clark did just that. Not with a buzzer beater, but because of a terrifying stalker. In March 2025, police arrested a man from Texas who had traveled to Indiana after sending Clark unsettling and obsessive messages online. His stated goal? To meet her in person, uninvited. Thankfully, authorities intervened before anything happened, but the incident exposed something deeply troubling. Despite Clark being the most talked about rookie in years, WNBA security hadn't caught up. The league moved quickly. Not only were individual teams reminded of their responsibility to protect players, but new league-wide recommendations followed. Clark, known for her poise on the court, barely acknowledged the scare publicly. But behind the scenes, it was a wake-up call. The situation sparked a wider discussion. How should rising stars in women's sports be protected from obsessed fans, especially as the league's visibility explodes? Many pointed out that if this had happened in the NBA, the security protocols would have already been bulletproof. For Clark, it was a harsh introduction to life under the spotlight. Fame in the WNBA is no longer niche, and with fame, unfortunately, comes danger. Dearica Hamby, lawsuit over pregnancy discrimination. In 2023, Dearica Hamby became the face of a WNBA controversy that reached far beyond the basketball court. The two-time All-Star and 6th Player of the Year filed a formal complaint against the Las Vegas Aces, accusing the organization of pregnancy discrimination, a claim that shook the league's foundation. Hamby alleged that after announcing her pregnancy, the Aces questioned her commitment to the game, told her she wasn't taking her career seriously, and eventually traded her to the Los Angeles Sparks. For a player who had helped the Aces win a title just months prior, the move felt like a betrayal. The story gained national attention. Fans and players rallied behind her. The WNBA Players Association backed Hamby, stating, "No woman should be punished for being pregnant." In October 2023, the league fined the Aces $250,000 and suspended their head coach Becky Hammon for 2 games, citing violations of league workplace policies. The scandal wasn't just about a trade, it was about what kind of league the WNBA wanted to be. Hamby's courage forced a conversation about motherhood, labor rights, and respect, and in doing so, she may have changed the path for future athletes balancing their careers and families. Riquna Williams domestic violence arrests, 2019 and 2023. Riquna Williams was once known for her on-court explosiveness, a lethal scorer capable of dropping 50 in a game. But her legacy has become clouded by repeated off-court issues, especially 2 high-profile domestic violence arrests that stunned fans and shook the WNBA. In 2019, Williams was arrested in Florida for allegedly assaulting her ex-girlfriend, accusations that included punching, choking, and threatening with a weapon. Though she was later allowed to play that season with the Las Vegas Aces, the league handed her a 10-game suspension, one of the longest in WNBA history. Just when it seemed the past might stay in the past, another incident emerged in 2023. Williams was arrested again, this time for alleged domestic violence involving her current partner. The Aces suspended her indefinitely, and she was left off the team's playoff roster. Public backlash was swift, and many questioned how someone with 2 violent incidents could remain in the league. Williams denied the charges, but the WNBA's handling of her situation reignited debates about accountability and consistency in disciplinary action. For a league that prides itself on empowerment and integrity, Williams's repeat arrests remain one of the most troubling blemishes on its recent history. Chennedy Carter, suspended by Atlanta Dream for team misconduct. Chennedy Carter is one of the most electric players to ever enter the WNBA, a dynamic scorer with highlight reel handles. But in 2021, her sophomore season with the Atlanta Dream was derailed by something that had nothing to do with basketball. A sudden, mysterious suspension that spiraled into a media storm. In the middle of the season, the Dream announced that Carter was being suspended indefinitely for conduct detrimental to the team. No specifics were given. Whispers leaked from the locker room, shouting matches with teammates, tension with coaching staff, and an inability to stay locked in. Carter later hinted at internal dysfunction on social media, writing cryptic messages like "loyalty is rare" and "I just want peace." Fans speculated endlessly. Was she being unfairly targeted, or was she too volatile to manage? Atlanta kept her sidelined for the remainder of the season. Eventually, they traded her to the Los Angeles Sparks. The WNBA never released official findings, and Carter never fully explained what went down. But the damage was done. Her talent was never in question, but her reputation took a hit. For a player once hailed as the future of the league, the suspension became a cautionary tale of what happens when off-court drama overshadows on-court brilliance. Clark acknowledges her privilege and gets dragged for it. Most athletes stick to sports. Caitlin Clark went a different route and paid for it. In a 2025 interview, Clark was asked about her fame, her following, and how she became the most watched rookie since the WNBA's inception. Her response? "I know I benefit from being white." That simple, honest comment triggered a media firestorm. Progressive outlets praised her for acknowledging what many players of color have voiced for years, that white athletes often get more media love, sponsorships, and patience. But conservative pundits weren't having it. Megyn Kelly called her a self-hating puppet. Tucker Carlson labeled it woke pandering. Suddenly, Clark found herself being used as a pawn in America's culture war, without ever intending to pick a side. For Clark, the moment was telling. A comment meant to foster understanding ended up weaponized by all sides. She didn't back down or apologize, and that's what made it stick. In a league where race, image, and marketability have long collided, Clark's candid admission was a rare act of self-awareness, and a reminder that WNBA stars can't avoid the spotlight even when they're trying to share it. Latasha Byears, multiple arrests, suspensions, and lawsuits. Latasha Byears was one of the most physical and feared post players in early WNBA history, but her off-court controversies often overshadowed her impact on the game. Her career, which spanned from 1997 to 2005, was littered with legal issues, suspensions, and a lawsuit that would define how the league deals with player conduct. The most explosive moment came in 2003. While playing for the Los Angeles Sparks, Byears was waived after being accused of sexual assault alongside 3 male acquaintances. Though she was never formally charged, the WNBA distanced itself immediately. Byears later sued the league and the Sparks, claiming wrongful termination and gender discrimination, stating that she was treated unfairly due to her sexuality and appearance. The lawsuit lingered in the headlines for years, and Byears remained a polarizing figure. Fans debated whether she was wrongfully punished or a liability for the league's image. Eventually, she returned to the WNBA in 2005 with the Washington Mystics but never regained her former dominance. Byears' saga remains one of the most complicated in league history, not just for the allegations, but for the questions it raised about justice, optics, and how much personal history a professional league should be willing to handle. Shannon Bobbitt suspended after Spark Shock brawl. Shannon Bobbitt stood just 5'2" inches, one of the shortest players in WNBA history, but during one of the league's most infamous fights, she made her presence known. In 2008, tensions between the Los Angeles Sparks and Detroit Shock boiled over in a nationally televised game that turned into a full-blown melee. The fight started when Sparks rookie Candace Parker was fouled hard by Plannette Pearson. Bodies collided, punches were thrown, benches cleared, and in the middle of it, Bobbitt sprinted across the court and shoved a Detroit player to the floor. It was a bad look for a league still trying to grow its mainstream appeal. The WNBA quickly issued suspensions. Bobbitt received a 2-game ban for her role in the chaos. In total, 11 players were fined or suspended. The incident made headlines on ESPN, sparking concern about player conduct and league professionalism. For Bobbitt, it was a rare outburst in an otherwise quiet career. But the image of her, the smallest player on the court, leaping into the fight, became a lasting symbol of the night the WNBA lost control. It remains one of the league's most talked-about fights, and Bobbitt's suspension was part of the fallout. Damiris Dantas suspended for skipping WNBA season. Damiris Dantas is known as a versatile forward and a key piece of the Minnesota Lynx during their transition era. But in 2022, she became one of the few players to be suspended not for something she did, but for something she didn't do. Dantas opted out of the WNBA season to fulfill overseas commitments and did not report to training camp. Unlike other international players who often miss partial seasons due to overseas schedules, Dantas failed to communicate a timeline for her return. The Lynx, left in limbo without clarity on her status, eventually suspended her contract. The suspension wasn't punitive in the traditional sense. Dantas didn't break laws or spark drama, but it was rare. The WNBA, trying to balance team planning with player freedom, used her absence as a signal. If you're not committed, you won't have a roster spot. For Dantas, it was a quiet scandal. No headlines, no social media meltdowns. Just a professional decision with real consequences. The suspension highlighted a growing tension in the WNBA between overseas obligations and league loyalty. And while Dantas later returned, her time away proved that even absence can trigger controversy in the world of professional basketball. Angel Reese and the racist chants controversy. In one of the most heated games of the 2025 WNBA season, Angel Reese once again found herself at the center of national debate. This time, not for a trash talk moment or a box scoreline, but because of what allegedly came from the stands. Following a tense game between the Chicago Sky and Indiana Fever, several fans online claimed that racist chants had been directed at Reese. The allegations spread like wildfire, especially given her long-running rivalry with Caitlin Clark. Though no official footage confirmed the chants, the implication was clear. Reese, a confident black woman, was being targeted for things far beyond basketball. The WNBA launched an investigation, eventually concluding that there was no substantial evidence of the incident, but the damage was done. Reese spoke about the emotional toll, stating she was used to being villainized, and fans split along predictable lines. Was it another example of systemic racism in sports? Was it exaggerated? Regardless of your stance, the controversy highlighted something bigger. Reese isn't just a player, she's a symbol of the league's new, often uncomfortable cultural relevance. Brittney Griner detained in Russia for cannabis possession. In February 2022, WNBA superstar Brittney Griner became the center of a geopolitical storm. Upon arriving at a Moscow airport to play for her Russian club team, customs officials found cannabis oil vape cartridges in her luggage, an offense that, under Russian law, carried severe penalties. Griner was arrested, tried in Russian court, and ultimately sentenced to 9 years in prison, sparking international outrage. The timing couldn't have been more volatile. Russia had just invaded Ukraine, and tensions between the US and Russia were at an all-time high. Griner, one of the most visible LGBTQ+ athletes in the world, was suddenly caught in the crossfire of global politics. The WNBA, NBA, and US government rallied behind her, but the Russian courts showed no leniency. Her detainment turned into a national cause. We Are BG campaigns swept through arenas. Players wore her number in tribute. After nearly 10 months behind bars, Griner was finally released in December 2022 in a controversial prisoner swap involving convicted Russian arms dealer Viktor Bout. Though she returned to the court in 2023, Griner's life, and public perception, was forever altered. Some questioned her decision to play overseas in the first place. Others criticized the government for trading a war criminal for a basketball player. But for many, she remains a symbol of resilience and injustice on a global scale. Sophie Cunningham, alleged affair with Phoenix Suns CEO. In early 2025, Indiana Fever, former Phoenix Mercury guard Sophie Cunningham, was thrust into the tabloids after a shocking lawsuit was filed against Suns Mercury CEO Josh Bartelstein. The suit, initiated by Bartelstein's former partner, alleged that he had an affair with Cunningham, an accusation that set WNBA Twitter ablaze. Cunningham immediately denied the claims, calling them completely false and defamatory. Still, the damage had been done. The Mercury organization declined to comment initially, adding fuel to speculation. Meanwhile, Bartelstein's legal team pushed back hard, calling the accusations a smear campaign. For Cunningham, the scandal wasn't just about gossip. It affected her brand. Endorsements were put on hold. Press appearances were canceled. Fans split into camps, those who believed her and those who doubted. The lack of a clear public statement from the team led many to question the Mercury's internal culture and communication protocols. Though no formal charges or penalties were issued, the fallout lingered. Cunningham played the 2025 season under intense scrutiny, and while the legal battle between Bartelstein and his accuser raged on in the background, Sophie's role as both athlete and public figure became complicated. The incident served as a stark reminder that off-court drama can spiral quickly, especially when tied to high-ranking executives and murky allegations. Kelsey Plum absurd ref rant goes viral. After a heated 2025 WNBA game between the Las Vegas Aces and the Indiana Fever, Kelsey Plum made headlines, not for her performance, but for her explosive rant about officiating. Cameras caught Plum unleashing a profanity-laced tirade in the tunnel, aimed at what she called the most absurd calls I've seen in my career. While post-game frustration isn't new, this outburst hit differently. It came on the heels of rising scrutiny over WNBA officiating, especially with the league under a brighter spotlight thanks to rookies like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. Fans and players alike had been vocal about missed calls, inconsistent enforcement, and star player treatment. But Plum's meltdown cut through the noise. Within hours, the clip went viral. ESPN segments, Twitter debates, and YouTube breakdowns flooded the internet. Some praised her passion, others called it unprofessional. The league responded with a $5,000 fine and a warning for unsportsmanlike conduct. But many fans stood with her, seeing the rant as a necessary spark in a league craving authenticity. Plum later addressed it publicly, doubling down. "I'm not sorry for caring. This league needs to be better." For better or worse, her meltdown turned into a rallying cry and showed that frustration, when captured raw and real, can spark bigger conversations. Brittney Griner, alleged racial slur incident toward Caitlin Clark. In what could be one of the most controversial moments of her post-prison return, Brittney Griner was recently accused of making a racial slur toward Indiana Fever rookie Caitlin Clark during an on-court altercation in early 2025. The footage, though unclear, showed the two exchanging words after a particularly physical play in the paint. Rumors flew online. Some claimed Griner used a derogatory term. Others insisted it was trash talk blown out of proportion. Right-wing media and social commentators picked up the story, framing it as a reverse racism incident, while WNBA insiders pleaded for context and calm. The WNBA launched an investigation but ultimately announced that there was no conclusive evidence of foul play. Still, the damage was done. The incident stirred racially charged debates online, with Clark once again positioned at the center of culture war narratives. Griner did not issue a specific comment on the accusations, opting instead to speak broadly about protecting the integrity of the game. Clark, for her part, said she had moved on and wanted to focus on basketball. Though the story fizzled from headlines within weeks, it served as a sharp reminder. The WNBA's rising visibility comes with greater scrutiny, and in a polarized media landscape, even hearsay can become headline news.